Hello, I am Professor Rakshit, the United Nations Commission for Social Development. The United Nations Commission for Social Development, hereinafter referred to as the CAD, came to the fore following the World Summit for Social Development held at Copenhagen in 1995 with the objective of follow-up and implementation of the Copenhagen Declaration and the Programme of Action. Originally, the CSD was established in 1946 by the ECOSOC, hereinafter referred to as the Council. It was known as the Social Commission. As United Nations membership expanded in 1960s, leading to greater focus on issues relating to social development, the Social Commission was renamed as CSD with an expanded membership. Originally composed of 18 members, the membership has been increased several times and now stands at 46. Members elected by ECOSOC based on equitable geographical distribution for 4-year terms. The CSD has a bureau comprising of a chair and 4 vice chairs. Keeping in mind the enhanced efficiency of the offices of CSDs, the chairs and vice chairs are elected for a term of office of 2 years. The CSD usually meets every February in New York in exercise of its mandate of follow-up to and implementation of the outcome of the Copenhagen Summit. The CSD every year takes up key social development themes. Now, what are the learning outcomes? Understanding the United Nations Commission for Social Development. 2. Can temporary and ongoing work of the Commission. And 3. The Millennium Development Goals of the Commission. Early work. The CSD started functioning under its restructured mandate in 1996. At a special session in 1996, the Commission decided that its primary focus will be on the review of the functioning of the Commission and strategies and actions for the eradication of poverty. Under the term on strategies and actions for the eradication of poverty, the Commission gave special emphasis on 3 sub-themes. Firstly, formulation of integrated strategies. 2. Meeting the basic human needs of all. And 3. Promotions of self-reliance and community-based initiatives. At its 35th session, the Commission considered 2 items: productive employment and sustainable livelihood. And also it looked into the review of relevant United Nations plans and programs of action pertaining to the situation of social groups. The Commission passed a resolution on productive employment and sustainable livelihood, which highlighted inter alia the importance of a changed outlook and drastic structural reforms. The resolution also took note of the report of the Secretary General prepared in cooperation with the International Labour Organization and decided to adopt agreed conclusions and transmit them to the Economic and Social Council as a contribution to the level segment of the substantive session of 1997, Resolution 35 Clause 2. The Commission also reviewed relevant United Nations plans and programs of action pertaining to the situation of social groups. It also reviewed the International Plan of Action on Aging and invited the UN Secretary General to make recommendations on different options for the future review of the action plan, and recommended the follow-up action on the report of Special Rapporteur on Disability and on the World Programme of Action for Youth to the year 2000. Some of the early work of the CSD: number 1, promoting social integration and participation of all people, including disadvantaged and vulnerable groups and persons, which is the 36th session, social services for all, and initiation of the overall review of the implementation of the outcome of the World Summit for Social Development, which is the 37th session. 3. Enhancing social protection and reducing vulnerability in a globalizing world, which is the 39th session. 4th, integration of social and economic policy, which is the 40th session. And 5th, the national and international cooperation for social development, that is the 41st session. Year 2000, the follow-up to the World Summit for Social Development. These were basically, in 2000, the Commission adopted a set of agreements on the progress achieved over the previous 6 years and the obstacles faced by the Commission in implementing the committee made at the Social Summit of 1995. These agreements were the contributions of the Commission to the UN General Assembly, UNGA review of the Social Summit. The agreements related to areas such as poverty, eradication, full employment, social integration, mobilization of resources of social development, and capacity building to implement social policies and programs. All these areas were extensively discussed for possible reform measures and follow-up action at the 24th session of the UNGA. At the session, the General Assembly adopted an outcome document entitled Further Initiatives for Social Development, which consists of a political declaration reaffirming the Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and program of action of the World Summit for Social Development, a review and assessment of the implementation of the outcome of the summit and proposals for further initiatives for social development. In concluding the session, the UNGA called for greater international cooperation and further urged the CSD to regularly assess the implementation of the outcome of the summit. At the special session, 4. Millennium Development Goals. In pursuance to the 24th session of the UNGA and the recommendations thereof, the Commission at its 39th session recommended to the ECOSOC the adoption of resolution on the multi-year program of work of the Commission for the period 2002 to 2006. The draft resolution adopted at the session focused on themes such as larger integration of social and economic policy, social aspects of macroeconomic policies, foreign partnerships for social development, eradication of poverty, social responsibility of the private sector, and improving public sector effectiveness, which is apart from the review of relevant United Nations plans and programs of action pertaining to social groups. At its 43rd session, the Commission concluded a 10-year review of the implementation of the Copenhagen Declaration and Program of Action and the outcome of the 24th special session of the General Assembly. The review centered on 3 themes, which were basically eradication of poverty, 2, promoting full employment, and 3, fostering social integration. Regarding the eradication of poverty, the Commission observed that consensus emerged that coordinated global and national action is needed in the fight against poverty, and that to formulate effective poverty eradication strategies. The root causes of poverty had to be recognized and understood. It was further proposed that the Commission must create collective responsibility for poverty eradication at both the national and global levels to ensure that the comprehensive approach to poverty eradication as agreed to in Copenhagen forms the basis of approach to address the Millennium Development Goals to halve poverty by 2015. Also, it tried to integrate social and macroeconomic policies, intensify efforts to address the debilitating debt burden, particularly through debt cancellation, in order to allow countries to redirect their scarce resources to social expenditures, expand international and bilateral cooperation, including the transfer of technology and the sharing of experiences, and good practices for poverty eradication, promote good governance and the rule of law in order to combat poverty successfully. On promoting full employment, the Commission addressed 3 areas of concern: the economic potential of the world, growing labor force, and how it can be viewed as not a negative but a positive force. Employment as the key to development and poverty reduction initiatives at the global and national levels that can make a difference in promoting full employment. Some of the participants emphasized on the need to make employment the cornerstone of social development. They also observed that the centrality of employment to reduction of poverty has been absent from international policy forums. Hence, they called for more effective application of macroeconomic policies in creating employment. The report on the session also drew attention to developing national employment plans that support the promotion of full and productive employment, with special attention given to the informal economy, as it comprises the majority share of the labor force in many developing countries. The important role of the state in both creating and expanding employment opportunities was also highlighted. However, reviewing the work done by the Commission on fostering social integration, there was general dissatisfaction that no progress has been achieved in implementing its commitments under the said area. As the report observes, the social integration component of social development appears to have lost ground and has not been fully integrated into the general discourse outside social development circles. The principle of solidarity among peoples, societies and nations has eroded. It was hence suggested that the Commission should adopt a people-centric approach by which socio-economic conditions of all people, particularly those in developing countries, will be given deserving consideration. Participants agreed that the concept of social integration developed at Copenhagen should be mainstreamed into efforts to achieve the Millennium Development Goals. Furthermore, social integration and relationship with poverty further became the priority theme of the work of the Commission in 2009 and 2010. At its 47th session, the Commission called for a comprehensive approach to social integration. Poverty eradication, full employment, and decent work and social integration are interrelated, and mutually enforcing, or rather reinforcing, and therefore an enabling environment needs to be created so that all 3 objectives can be pursued simultaneously. The Commission also addressed the issue of implementing its commitments regarding social integration, a concern that was raised at its 43rd session. While recognizing that realizing its objective requires commitments and social solidarity on the part of all members and sectors of society, the Commission emphasized the need for strong political leadership, transparent decision making, social innovation, and timely action. To this end, the chairperson of the session, Ms. Kirsty Lintonen, in a summary on the priority theme and emerging issues, affirmed that political commitment must be translated into concrete actions in order to operationalize social integration and to keep it high in the list of priorities. Each country in this gamut has primary responsibility for its own economic and social development. National policies and development strategies should include the promotion of social integration and cohesion. The dialogue on the feasibility of global social floor should be continued and options should be further elaborated and assessed. One of the major challenges faced by the Commission during its millennium phase is the global financial crisis and the difficulties it posed for the realization of social integration and related objectives. As Ms. Lintonen observed during the 47th session, the current crisis will not only pose challenges, I quote, for societies, but also provide opportunity to underscore the importance of social integration and to focus further on advancing equal and an all-inclusive social development. Furthermore, the Commission called for action-oriented policies and programs that produce concrete outcomes. These policies and programs should be evidence-based, supported by policy-relevant research, and followed up with systematic evaluation of results. Now, apart from this, there is some contemporary and ongoing work of the Commission. The interlinkage between full employment, poverty eradication, and social integration identified during its millennium work continues to influence the Commission contemporary and ongoing work. As part of its poverty eradication program, the Commission in its 49th session inter alia focused on poverty eradication in Africa through the new Partnership for Africa Development, which is known as NEPAD scheme. In a resolution entitled Social Dimensions of the New Partnership for Africa's Development, the Commission observed that it is concerned as to how the recent economic, food and energy crisis and climate change may hinder Africa as social development objectives. It urged continued support of measures such as debt relief, improved market access, official development, assistance and technology transfer to address poverty eradication and sustainable development. NEPD continues to occupy a major position in the Commission. At its 53rd session, the Commission emphasized that progress in the implementation of the new partnership depends on a favorable national and international environment for Africa. It is necessary for its growth and development, which also includes measures to promote a policy environment conducive to private sector development and entrepreneurship and to the achievement of the MDG. There is, apart from this, a continuing relevance of social summit. At its 53rd session held in February 2015, the Commission observed that Copenhagen Summit on Social Development continues to remain relevant for many of its aspirations remain unfulfilled even today. The Commission observed that rethinking and strengthening social development requires a transformative people-centered approach to sustainable development. Since the 1995 World Summit for Social Development, enormous progress has been made in improving the human condition. However, many challenges remain. While the world has reduced the proportion of people living in extreme poverty by half, the progress has been uneven and more than 1 billion people remain poor. Rates of unemployment, particularly among youth and other disadvantaged and vulnerable social groups, also remain unacceptable high. Many countries also continue to grapple with the challenge of fostering social inclusion. Vulnerabilities are also becoming more acute, with people living in poverty and other disadvantaged social groups bearing the brunt. Bearing in mind the state of affairs, the Commission decided to integrate its work with the post-2015 development agenda, with a particular emphasis on integrating the social, economic and environmental pillars of sustainable development. The delegates to the session urge the Commission to play a larger role in the monitoring and implementation of the post-2015 development agenda. In adopting a unified post-2015 agenda, the Commission was optimistic that by adopting a unified post-2015 vision that places people at the center of development, the international community would give renewed significance to the World Summit for Social Development. In pursuance to this post-2015 agenda and as recommended by a few delegates, the Commission brought its priority themes under the scope of the agenda. Some of the delegates urged the Commission to make this thematic cross-cutting based on social protection, with targets of poverty eradication, equality, decent work, education, food security and nutrition. The Commission also discussed the possibility of cooperation and coordination between the Commission and the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs for the effective implementation of the post-2015 agenda. In the summary, to sum it all, the UN Secretary General's report Rethinking and Threatening Social Development in the Contemporary World states, the Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and Program of Action of the World Summit for Social Development constitute to date the broadest set of norms and explicit commitments to guide action on social development at the national, regional and international levels, building on earlier agreements, with the mandate to realize the aspirations of the Copenhagen Declaration by effectively following up and implementing schemes. The Commission has been incrementally working towards the realizing of the various social development goals. The Commission in fact helped to bring issues spread across human social relations to a comprehensive policy. This policy is in a framework to receive a focused and specialized treatment. Claudia Martin, Diego Rodriguez Prinos and Bernathy Brown opine that the Commission best illustrates how bodies not belonging to the central UN system can become effective forums to overcome stagnant processes. However, one major challenges the Commission faced, and to a certain extent it continues to face, is in the implementation and enforcement of its commitments. This is partly due to the fact that there has been, as the Department of Economic and Social Affairs DESA observes, no real initiative to bring together all parties involved. In this report, Social Justice is an Open World, DESA observed that if in the 10 years since Copenhagen an appropriate time for action has not yet presented itself, the commitments made at the World Summit for Social Development would no longer constitute a source of inspiration and decision. The Commission's current work, especially through the post-2015 agenda, however, evidences a progressive effort on its part to overcome the implementation problem and to realize that the goals and aspirations of the World Social Summit. Now, there is further to that, there is an annexure to the work of the Commission for Social Development number, and the year and the priority theme is given. So, this clearly shows that the social development institution aims at rethinking and strengthening the social development in the contemporary world. Having said that in the summary, it can be summarized in a nutshell that this body tries its best to bring about a kind of social integration and eradicate poverty and indebtedness in the contemporary world. Thank you.